Especially the younger kids. I think social media and things have a play in it, but they're so short-sighted. And I think especially in terms of business, a lot of these kids, I'll say, are so focused on the fast, quick, easy thing.
Immediate gratification.
Yeah. Brad Lee talked about this. He said, I know guys that have a mansion, they got all the cars, the jet, but they're barely getting by, and they're terrified that if something goes wrong, they're going to lose all of that. And he said something that changed my perspective, and he said, they're broke. They're just broke at a different level. Ty Lopez.
He owes me $100.
No way.
Yeah, I had my ex-girlfriend at his house, and he put on his story, who could guess her nationality? And I guessed it, and he didn't give me $100. So I'm hoping I can get that $100 whenever his team or anybody watches this.
That's so funny. We talked a little bit about this off camera about the ego and how many people are led so much by their ego, which I think there's two paths you can take in life. I think there's service to self or service to others. And I think obviously the better route is service to others, but a lot of people get stuck in the ego through insecurities and pain, and they try to live on this, I don't know. We talked about this earlier.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure.
What do you think of that?
I think, at the end of the day, you can maybe be in the middle, and maybe you can create your own lane where you know yourself. And it's just like the wealthy individual who's driving the Prius that you would never guess. I worked at a bank. I actually worked at a bank in El Cajon, and I worked at a bank in La Jolla. If you're not from San Diego, those are two different areas and from two different demographics completely. So, and it was crazy because I'd have people come up to I was a teller, so I'd see everybody's bank accounts, and it was so interesting to see somebody that was almost, came off and appeared as homeless in some of these cases, and they'd be sitting with, 20 million in the accounts.
Right.
And I'd have somebody that looks like they would be, owning half the city and, have, 50 million in the account, and they were barely getting by.
Yeah.
And having negatives in their account. So really that changed my whole perspective on judging a book by its, cover.
Yep.
So that really helped because that helped open up my mind to, don't judge people, allow the connections, and just, you never know what's going to unfold under that umbrella of that relationship that you're cultivating. Because at the end of the day, the greatest value you can have is good friendship and good relationships with people.
Right. Yeah. No, and you're totally right about not judging a book by its cover, because even when somebody has the mansion, they've got the private jet, they have the Ferrari. I heard Brad Lee talked about this. He said, I know guys that have these, they're making a bunch of money.
Yep.
They have the mansion, they got all the cars, the jet, but they're barely getting by, and they're terrified that if something goes wrong, they're going to lose all of that. And he said something that changed my perspective, and he said, they're broke. They're just broke at a different level.
Yeah. And I agree, and I think there's so many levels of wealth that people don't always think about. And at the end of the day, it's about just finding that balance within yourself to know what level you're at and how to pivot and make those decisions. Again, everybody's got a different perspective. And again, this is why, people should, hit up Kevin too for, these private consultings, because it's about analyzing where you're at that time, because it's, you get on these, you hear things from Dave Ramsey or these different people out there, and sometimes they're very general statements, and it's really tough to put a broad brush over everybody. It's impossible. You have to have, again, even with my real estate clients, I tell them we do private, one-on-ones, consulting to figure out what's really in their best interest, and what sometimes, people are shocked at what I say. So I'll tell them, no, don't sell. And people are going, what are you saying, Ryan? You're losing 30 grand. You're, 50. Yeah, that wasn't the best. Like, again, that's what, and again, I could be wrong too. I'm not saying I can't be, can't be wrong, but it just, again, I look at everything and I go with what is in every person's best interest.
So when you're telling people, something like don't sell, I think what you're doing is by playing a fair game and being genuine, like genuinely giving them, even though that you're not going to make that 30 grand, 40 grand, whatever, genuinely pointing them in the right direction is, by doing the right thing, is actually going to pay off for you better. It just doesn't happen right away. And earlier we talked about more of like our generation. You're 26,
Yep.
I'm 30. So people that are in this age group,
Yep.
and especially the younger kids, I think social media and things have a play in it, but they're so short-sighted.
Yep.
And I think especially in terms of business, a lot of these kids, I'll say, are so focused on the fast, quick, easy thing.
Immediate
Right?
gratification.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we hear that word usually from older folks. I mean, immediate gratification. You know, it's redundant. You know, but again, I get what they're trying to say, and I get what they are saying, but it's just really it's not only just the immediate gratification part. It's also the short-term play that you're advising on, or that you're benefiting on, and that makes it loses its authenticity to a degree too, because obviously you're not looking at their best interests then, because you're just thinking of the short, quick dollar, or again, and it's not a turn and burn thing, and really you want to think, especially for people that are in our age group, for the next 30, 40, 50 years, and that's what's going to pay off, and that's what's going to continue your success.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think a lot of these, YouTube gurus have put out courses for so long. I remember when I first moved to San Diego and started my business, Tai Lopez was like, and don't get me wrong, dude, Tai Lopez is one of the reasons.
He owes me $100.
No way.
Yeah, I had my ex-girlfriend at his house, and he put on his story, who could guess her nationality? And I guessed it, and he didn't give me $100. So I'm hoping I can get that $100 whenever his team or anybody watches us.
That's so funny. You know
because
what?
I did get that.
Let's call him after this.
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah, I'd love to get my $100.
Because I know, it's funny. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay,
Snapchat.
perfect. Yeah, so yeah.
He used to do shit like that all the time.
Yeah, so that was great.
But Tai is one of the reasons why I actually started my business. So I think that there was a lot of help there, but in order for these guys to sell more courses, they have to cater more to people on what people will buy, right? So if you tell somebody, hey, it's going to take incredibly hard work and the chances of you succeeding are really low, right? People aren't going to buy that shit, even though that's the truth. But they make it seem like, Tai was rolling around with Rolls Royces, McLarens, Lambos, Jets, mansions, all of that.
And I think even $100,000 on the counter, I think he keeps a certain dollar amount on his kitchen counter.
Right,
So,
which wealthy people don't do that.
No, well, not that I've hung out with.
Yeah. But but I think that whole get rich quick thing, which has always been a thing. It went from seminars to Facebook ads, but I think that get rich quick mentality has plagued a whole generation, and I see it in employees too. So